Hey everybody, I'm going to talk about Spring Batch today. It's a small demo application on Spring Batch. So you go into demo and I have my Spring Boot application. Let me go into SRC demo and let me go to main, Java, and let's go to my demo application. This is my main class. It's a Spring Boot application. I'm saying scan com.batchtest.demo and com.batchtest.demo.controller. So basically I want to scan this class and I want to scan my controller class, because my controller has all the annotations. This is the batch controller, person controller, and this is just a hello world controller. I just want to uh, start up the application and print hello world. And this one is actually the batch controller, but we'll get to that later. Let me first go to pom.xml. This is a Maven project. I want to talk about the dependencies here. I'm adding an actuator to keep track of the health status. Is a batch, so Spring Boot start a batch, and Spring start a JPA. I'm not going to be using that here. Spring start a web, that's for the hello world. And then I'm starting the H2 console. I'm using the local H2 database. I'm reading from a CSV file and writing to H2. So I'm also importing OpenCSV as a dependency, and then you have string JDBC as a dependency, and the test framework, and then we're using the Maven plugin. So that's, then let's go to the application properties. Let's go to resources and let's go to application properties. In application properties, I don't want to start the job when I'm starting the batch. This is my class path schema. This is my local. So I'm trying to insert all Spring related, uh, batch related tables, which is going to be batch job instance, batch job execution, you know, batch job execution params, and you have batch step, then you have batch step context, execution context, and then you have the sequences to increment by one. So that keeps track, and then schema.sql is your table which you are going to write to from the CSV. So now if you go to application properties, you have that here. You're specifying your Spring Batch classes, and then this is your configuration for your data source, the driver, the database, your user, password, and true. And initialize schema is always, and init mode is always, and init mode. This just makes sure that your Spring Batch related tables are updated on the before you start your program. Now coming to demo application menu, let's just go ahead and start it. It's a simple Spring Boot application, and you're scanning these two packages. So let's go to batch job controller. So demo application has started. Let's just make sure it started. Localhost 8082. There you go. It started. It's hello world. That basically comes from hello controller. That's the web. It's just a simple REST controller, and you add a get mapping slash, and it's just returning the string hello world. So when you just say slash, it's just going to return something just to make sure it's up and running. And then you can also go to the h2 hyphen console, right? And this is a driver. This is our test DB from application properties. If you go back and see, you have I don't have application properties open, but if you go back to application properties, you got so just copy that, paste it here, and that's the password. Then when you go back here, you say connect. It connects you, and it's it has all your, like, you can see all your tables here. They're currently empty. So let's go back here. I want to create this table. Okay, so let's go in here, our H2 interface, and then run it. And then you see the person here. Okay, then let's go back to our code. Okay, there's a code here. Okay, let's go back to our code and let's go into batch job controller. This is where our, what are we saying here? We're saying it's a REST controller, request match for a batch, and then we're going to start a job here. So we have an auto wired, we've got a batch job runner, right? What does this do? This launches your job. It's your job launcher. It's your import user job, run job, import user job, the job parameters. And then let's go to the batch job controller. It's injecting the batch job runner. And you go to the run batch job, it goes and runs the job and says batch job start successfully on run. So this is how we run it. Let's go to Postman. And here I want to do a post on batch and then run. So it started the batch job successfully. So you look at the job, it's gone and started the batch job. Now let's go to batch job run. In run job, what it does, it goes and it does it takes the import user job. This model is the person, batch job controller. And let's go to batch. And let's look at batch config. What do we do here? What does a batch do? In batch config.java, this is actually a configuration. You remember when you start your Spring Boot application, what loads? Your configuration, your enable auto configuration, and your component scan. So in this case, this class gets loaded. It's what do we say here? We say we want to enable batch processing. You have your job repository and you have your platform transaction manager. And you have your batch config constructor where you're actually initializing both of them. And this is your steps. What do you want to do? The flat file item. All these are beans. Your steps are basically beans. Look at that. This is the first bean. Your flat file item reader, your JDBC item writer, and then you have your steps, which is also a bean. Your job is also a bean. And here is where your import user job is. Import user job, this is your first step. Start step 1 and then build. So now let's go to step 1. What are you doing in step 1? In step 1, it's your name. You're calling this one your job repository. You're taking a person, your chunk. You mean you're going to load by the size of 10? 10 at one time? And then this is your transaction manager. Yes, you want to do what? These are your steps. You have a reader, you have a writer, and then you build it. And when you go to reader, what do you get? You have a flat file item reader. It takes a person object, and this is your resource. This is the path of your resource, which is right here. Input CSV and is delimited. These are the names of the variables in the CSV. If you go and see the CSV, first name, last name, John Doe and Smith. Those are the two of your repository. Sorry. And then you have a field set mapper. You're just using the bean wrapper field set mapper. Set target type person.class, and then you say build. So you're reading it into the person. And then JDBC batch item writer. Set SQL source provider, parameter source. And then you're inserting into first name, last name, values, first name, last name. And then you're setting your data source and you're returning the writer. And then you just say build. And so this writes your data into the database. So let's go and check. If you go and check, let's go to person. Hold on. You have your first name here. And then in order to verify this, we have another person controller. Getting people, select first name as first name, last name as last name. From person, this is where we're using, and return JDBC template. dot query bean property row mapper mapped person dot class, right? So now you go in here and you want to get, I want to get localhost, and I just want to get, this is another way to get it. If you don't want to query the database, you can do this, send. So you see, you're going to see your characters here too.